parenting, be it single, be it combined, is all about knowing that your offsprings are your greatest assets. I think that there will always be some level of trauma with kids that were raised by a single parent, but it all depends how you want to channel that trauma when you start your own home. I was called to Government House by Governor Obiano. He said, young man, I like young people with helicopter qualities, young men and women that search and fix. I like this, but it's not good enough. I give you the next 1 week to write my manifesto. And I started writing at 8 p.m. By 8:15 in the morning, 12 hours, 15 minutes, I wrote the first draft of the Obiano manifesto. 3 C's. The best type of politics, my brother, is the politics of hard work. That I was made commissioner on the day I turned 30. I will not say anything negative on the governors in Anambra State, but Anambra will wear a different look if Soludo was governor 10, 15 years ago. If Niger State at 72,000 square kilometers, 10 million population, has one education policy, one health policy, and then us who are just about 40-45% of that size, maybe if we are a bit more strategic, we could make the Southeast the preferred location for investments. When we look at the last 40 years, can we say that the Southeast is maximizing its potential? I don't think so. We've tried a certain way. Are we going to go on this same cycle and do the same things our parents and their generation did?
Bam, 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 bam. Bam, 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 bam. And if I say me, I not get bam, you guys know how to do it. Everybody who see a day. Obo no daro bam, iman oburo bam. Obo ni nwere obi etekwa na aru. If you no get mine, come up body. Afa mbu chukwujoke egwendo dogbo yamba ba ezigboto onya aba. Ịmana anyị gwalu na anyị na-akpọtakwa ndị ọdị ka ọ dị anyị, ndị big talkers, ndị bụ na fakwu onye ọda agbam, ndị nwere ike eji anani, people that are affecting their society. Tata anyị nwere ezigbo mmadụ, ụfọdụ n'ime unu we can say kekwa this fine boy, who is this young man, who is ọrụ onye ka mfụ ụbọchị a na TV, ọrụ onye ka mfụ a na-adọba mvamvam, biko nke anyị nabata nụ ezigboto onye invite dunu nwanne m nwoke kwa the former commissioner in Anambra State that has worked under 3 governors consecutively. Kanabatano, the MDCO, Southeast Development Commission. Kanabatano, Mr. Mark Okoye II.
Hello, my brother.
The remarkable man.
Hello, my brother. Hello, my brother.
Mr. Mark, kekime.
What the mama?
No na bam. Imana na ki bazwa ipo na oko. I say ka ibia na ndị Igbo need to from you. Igbo people need to hear from you. Yes. Some of us we're hearing some of these things for the first time. We're seeing it for the first time. Some of us amarin there such commission until the budget video that we saw where anona adoge vam nseke ibiagodi ka amalu for the n'ime anya amadi onye be ha amadi ka onye asi we banye. Who is this young guy? Who is this? Call line, please. Who is Mark Okoye II? Feel free, flow in Igbo, flow in English, English Igbo. This is not an Igbo class. So feel free to just communicate. Please, call line, could I Mark Okoye? Ganiru?
No, Dalori, my brother. Thank you. And I think for me, first of all, it's an honor to be here. Coming in here, I knew I moved to Oka in 2012 from Lagos. I knew what this area was like. There were no dualized roads. The amount of flooding here during rainy season. Something else. Horrible.
I agree.
Right? But I think from what we've seen, it shows that, in my view, and also I'm quite honored to even have been part of it, because between then and now, you've had 3 governors who have all called every single one of them my boss, Your Excellency, my leader. And I saw how it changed. So to come back here, seeing a dualized road,
a roundabout,
seeing a roundabout, stone base, you can only thank God for the leadership that Anambra has had. And more importantly, I was part of the current government. So when these things were still at the planning stage, we were there sitting with Governor Soludo as a young man and helping him with all these ideas, So to see it implemented It's very exciting. But most importantly, I think I want to commend you and all the other creators, in the Southeast. It's a very harsh terrain.
It is.
It's a very, very harsh terrain. It's a sector where our young men and women have the skills, they have the mind, they have the energy, they have the spirit. But our approach in the Southeast has historically we've not valued this space as much as some of our contemporaries across other regions have seen the creative space. So to come in here and see about 22, 25 young men and women who are earning a living within the creative economy in the Southeast, in Anambra, I must commend you and all the other creators out there.
Thank you, boss.
So when I met you yesterday, and in spite of all the meetings and board meetings that we were doing, I gave you a commitment that I must come. I apologize for being late. It's not usually my nature. But I felt that I needed to honor that promise.
Thank you very much.
So who am I? My brother, I'm just Mark Okoye, a young man, and I don't know how far you want me to go.
I want you to start from Kedeba Moe. Where were you born? Kedebito. Kedebe Iguliguaja. Kedebe primary school, secondary school. Take us through
the whole journey.
Yes, childhood.
To feel
please.
comfortable and to get involved.
Yes, please.
Well, I've also started writing a book.
Oh.
I wrote 24 chapters last summer. And that book also started from what you've asked me to do.
Wonderful.
1986, June 15th. Born in Lagos. And was born to a dad, mom. But at the age of 5, my father and my mom separated. So, and it was really just me being the only boy and 3 girls in the house. And a mom who was a workaholic. She leaves 6:30 in the morning and she's back at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, every day for 29 years of her career. So even at the age of 5, that was what I went through, right? And the attachment between a son and their mom. While all my siblings will be sleeping, I can't sleep. I say I must see my mom before she goes up.
The only son for that matter.
Yes, the only son. So I'll wait by the door and wait there till she comes. But most importantly, or more importantly, was in my mind the early value system that I was seeing. Because she was a banker, started from the entry level. But I would say she worked her way up to be one of the first female executive directors of First Bank. No extra push, just grunt, hard work. Didn't know, her father was a headmaster in a village. Came to Lagos first and worked her way all the way to the top. I thank God for observing that as a young age. But more importantly, coming from a single parent home that early, there are certain learnings that, we were picking up. Parents separate for reasons known best to them. But oftentimes, it will be something that women have done. I don't need to go too far into that. And this is linking to a very important aspect of my story because I feel like I had to be quite mature from very early on. You are 5, 6-year-old. Don't do what these other men do. Be focused, be disciplined, always take care of your wife, always take care of your sisters. You're their father. Imagine telling a 6-year-old. I have an 8-year-old. I've never even told him he's the father for any of his sisters. But that's what I was getting at an early age. And very hard on me. But that I trace almost everything, that I've seen in the last 38, 39 years of life to some of that strong value system. Believe in hard work, believe in integrity, understanding the importance of being quite disciplined, And as I'm speaking, I'm thinking and I'm remembering stories.
Reminiscent.
So we went through that quite quickly. And of course, this was really the era of the military rule where we were born into. For many, I don't know about other homes, but my mom liked the newspapers. So oftentimes when she gets back, I'll go and pick up the newspapers from her. It started from reading the comics behind Champion on Tunde Smart, which started to also do political comics. So age 7, age 8, you're picking a bit of that. While I was going to primary school, I'll come back, wait for her to come back. And then suddenly, from about 6 or 7, from reading the back of the comic, we started to turn. And then we started to see the headlines. Nadeko this, that, this governor, that one, this military administrator. I said, Mom, why is this man doing this? She said, no, you can't comment, this is this. Mom, why do we have green plants in front of our car? The 92, 93 situation, all those questions. She kept calling me curious. Mark, my son, you're a curious cat. You want to know everything. But all I had was her. And she was that teacher at home who I felt I could ask everything. I'm saying this because these are some of the early stories around perhaps where that interest in development may have come from, right? Then somewhere in the background, I kept hearing, your dad used to be in politics, but, the relationship was not very strong because we were not living together. But he said he carried my names, but we kept moving. And we went through primary school. I was a selectively excellent student. What I mean by that is, if the subjects I like, I will do very well in them. If I don't like them, you can't get me to focus on it, right? So, went through secondary school, also in Lagos, studied, I was a commercial student, so things around business studies, accounts, economics, these were my areas of concentration. Mathematics a bit, but all the other areas, literature, this one, that one, I say, I beg. I told them this one. The stress is too much. Geography I liked.
Okay.
Then finished in and throughout primary and secondary school, because my mother was going through the process of, working hard, getting the benefits and rising. I would tell you, she was using loans from the bank to finance our school fees. So at the start of every year, she says, my children must go to the best schools. But she could not pay for it from her salary. So she would go to the bank she worked in, take a loan, pay for the whole year, be paying small by small. And then at the end, when she has cleared the loan, 1 month or 2 months later, she takes it again. But her own decision was her greatest investment will be her children. And I'm thankful for that. So finished at Atlantic Hall, quite challenging again, but she insisted, and I was fortunate to get education away from the shores of Nigeria. Not that I think there's anything exceptional about it, because I have seen 100 times more competent people that went to school here, finished their university here, and have achieved 10 times more than any of us that went abroad. But why I say I was thankful is because at least I would say the only advantage is that you get to mix with other people from different walks of life. So there are learnings from them, right? But I was very clear in my mind that I was going to come back to Nigeria. In fact, there's a video that I must find. Graduation in my secondary school. They were asking everybody, where do you want to go? Some said, I'm going to Ghana. I want to go to this school. I want to go to that school. Some said, I'm going to London. I'm going to this. I said, I'm only going to benefit from education there. Once I'm done, I must come back home.
Which country is that?
US.
Okay.
So I went to George Washington University in DC and studied finance. And as soon as I was done, whilst we had opportunities, looking for jobs, getting nice internships, I was of the opinion that I was not going to work a day extra in America. So I finished December about 14th. By December 16th, I was boarded on a flight back to Nigeria.
2 days after?
Yes. Came back, went through the Christmas break, and very early in January, I showed up at 2 investment banks for interviews. One of them was AfriInvest Investment Bank in Lagos. What is an investment bank for? I guess for those who may not know. If, for example, GT Bank or UBA wants to go and raise money, 100 million, 100 billion naira, 50 billion naira, they need people who will advise them on how to go about it, show them the regulatory processes and things like that, and then help them raise that money for a fee. That was our job. So coming into there, I worked there, got in at 21. And in fact, my first boss, when he was interviewing me, he said, interviewed a few people. He said, okay, I will take you, of average intelligence. I said, "Aye, Chineke." But he didn't know what he did by making that statement. As soon as I got that job, I think our pay was 47,000 every month. We were coppers. I told myself, this man is going to regret this thing he just said completely. And I'm going to show him that I'm probably will be the hardest working person in this company. On average, you come in 8 o'clock in the morning. Most people leave around 6 or 7. The remainder 10% of the workforce live around, about say 9, 10 in the evening. So I was there, my first day on the job. Went through, first batch of people left around 5, second batch left around 8, and the last batch left at 10. We were leaving at 10. And I saw a young guy called Maiwa, who everyone seemed to revolve around him. I said, I need to know everything you know. He said, no, you can't. I've been here for 3 years, 4 years. I said, I need to know everything you know in 1 month. He said, you are a lunatic.
Is that drug?
He said, you're a lunatic. And I appealed to him because his house was all the way in the border of Ogun State and Lagos. I gave him a room in my own apartment, closer to the office, so that me and him could be at the office till 1 a.m., till 2 a.m., working overnight, so that we can go home together. He stayed the night in my house, then we'll come back again in the morning. So I learned a lot. My 1 year there must have been like 3-4 years anywhere else. Because for 1 year, every week, out of 5 working days, I was sleeping in the office 4 out of 5. Sleeping. I work from 7:30 in the morning till about 4 a.m., 5 a.m. Then I get about 1 hour, 2 hours of sleep on the MD's couch. And then I rush home to shower, and I'm back at 7:30 to read newspapers and drink a cup of coffee. By 8:30, I open my laptop and start working.
Active.
That was my first year, and it now extended, and that was my first 4.5 years at that company. I quit at that company 2 times. The first time I quit, I was being paid just about, I think that time after my copper year, all the other guys we finished with, they retained 2 of them, but they retained me and gave me a double promotion above them. So I was almost earning double them. So we kept working. At some point, my brother, I just felt, as much as they're paying me well compared to my peers, there were other organizations that were paying better. And I felt like I was working harder than the people at those organizations. So I quit. And my MD said, what? I said, I quit. I don't feel I'm valued. So he engaged me, as we spoke again.
What can we do?
What can we do? How do we cut this deal? So he now said, you know what? You're going to come back into investment banking. But to justify how to pay you more, I'm going to make you the executive assistant to the MD to manage all the documents that go to the board. And that was how he was now probably paying me 3 or 4 times the people I had come in with. a few years back. Second time, came back this time, this stock market had crashed. We were now looking for where we would make more money from as a company. So everybody now started running to state governments. State governments were going to the capital markets, raising money. So that, again, brought me closer to government. We worked in those governments. We started supporting Edo State. I think we supported Enugu State. We supported Lagos State. I was on about 8 government projects, right? And at probably about 23 then, also 23. So I started getting this excitement for government, understanding the accounts of government. And I woke up one day and I decided to write to a certain person who was running for Anambra State governor in 2010. I wrote to him in 2009. That man is the governor of Anambra State today. I said, Your Excellency, I admire you. I love your antecedents in central bank. You've really put the Africa on the map. And I would love to come and serve you in any capacity. He says he never got the letter. I never got a response. But I happened to have listened to him at Oriental in 2009, where he created the concept African Dubai Taiwan. I was the youngest in that room, at the back, listening to Odenibu. But it just so happened, I felt it was my time, but God felt we needed more time. Second thing happened. The Jonathan administration started, 2011, when the likes of Okoye, Wala and Co were coming in. Again, a young man who was so energetic. I wrote again. This time, I wrote to 42 ministers. Said, I'm a young man. This is my experience. These are the things that I feel like I'll add so much value to your ministries. Please give me an opportunity in any capacity to just come. 42 ministers. Not one response. Done. Said no problem. So there was this one day. We had to a former governor who had just finished, right? He had these ideas on how to do a project somewhere in the Southwest. So he came to our company and asked us for support to help in packaging it. He was quite a young man as governor, former governor of Cross River State, Donald Duke. So I felt that since I was one of the people in that company that had government experience, but this time it wasn't government, so they didn't want me to be on that project. So I pleaded that I just wanted to come for the first meeting. Even if it was just to sit there, if I had only 1 or 2 presentation slides, let me make a presentation and stay quiet. The MD said, that's fine, go. That night, I remembered a book I read on how Ojukwu used to prepare for speeches. That he would look in the mirror and recite that speech like, I think he said 200 times, and then come and deliver it. I took my presentation slides and I recited it more than 100 times in the mirror. I said, I must make an impression. This is the person I know that is closest to power. This person must find me impressive. And I did that. The meeting started the next day. My bosses presented. Then they said, we'll hand over to Mark to do the last part of the presentation. I did 1 or 2 minutes or 3 minutes. What I had rehearsed, I delivered. And he said, thank you. And he told the 3 of us, I'll see you later. And as we were walking out of his office, I said, Kai, I didn't impress this man. He now said, young man. Everybody looked back because we were all relatively young.
Yes.
He said, no, not the 2 of you. That's one. the youngest, come. They said, but Mark came with us, so there's no way of getting him back to the office. He said, no, that's not a problem. We'll get him back. But I want to I want to have a chat with him. As soon as I walked back, before I even took a seat, and before he even uttered a word, I said, Your Excellency, with all due respect, I've been preparing for this moment. I've written letters to multiple ministers, to multiple governorship aspirants. I just want to understand government. I want to understand development. And I'm appealing to you to please take me as your mentee. He said, well, I have no other choice. You've already made that case. And remember, he was an ex-governor by that time. So there's a little bit more time. So typically, that relationship started, and every day, probably back then, after work, you go back, 1 a.m., you come, ask 1 or 2 questions, as the case may be. So this one day, he said, what state are you from? I'll introduce you. And then he says, come with me, and introduces me to the then governor of Anambra State, right? Governor Obi. And it happened. He says, hello, hi, how you doing? Then he was walking away. I said, Destiny can't walk away anymore. He said, with all due respect, Your Excellency, I have my CV in my pocket. I've waited a lifetime for this moment. I need to be hired. He looked at it, okay, no problem. And that was it. For 3 months, I didn't hear anything. Hundreds of calls, nothing.
He gave you his number?
Yeah, as usual. And I made calls. But until one day I just decided, I said I'll resign. And resigned from Lagos and moved to Anambra. I spent 2 weeks on the streets of Anambra, searching for that opportunity. Started off with Government House here. Go stay at Old English. From Old English, go to Government House. Sit outside with the mobile policemen. Gist with them. See when does the governor come to work. They said, no, he's coming. We spent the whole day there. At a point, we became very good friends. I'll buy them London dry gin, buy them unripe plantain with roasted fish. We started talking, gisting. After 3 days, he said, Bia, okay, governor does not walk out of here. He walks out of Amobia. I said, how do I get to Amobia? He said, no, just enter any keke and fire on. We fired on. Mind you, the job I left at that point, having started at 48,000 naira. When I left that job, I was earning 875,000 naira.
A month?
In 2012. And annually, after they do something called pay for performance, pay for how hard you've worked, I was getting paid another 12 to 15 million annually. 2012.
Separately from your salary?
Separately. It's called a bonus, pay for performance. But my view is that money was not necessarily a motivation at that point. Because as a young man, we had hustled and seen it. And it was just like, we're working, then you make more money, you work harder, you make more money. At that point, I started searching for a deeper meaning of why I and human beings come to earth. So, seeing this opportunity, I said I was going to do everything I could to get into government. So finished, we enter Amobia. From Amobia, we'll sit at the gate. That one was more brutal because that's where the governor stays.
Go.
So you cannot come there and say you're in Keke and you're here to see governor. You want to spray your legs. So we started the whole process again. Appealing, telling them, he told me to come, telling all sorts of many white lies here and there. Cut the long story short, we were outside there for maybe another week and 3 days, calling, until one day we got the number from the PA, called her, appealed to her. She said, but your name is not on the manifest. I said, it is. I don't know why it's not. But the governor called me yesterday and we spoke for 10 minutes. He said, see you tomorrow, Mark. I said, are you sure? It doesn't sound like Governor Obi. I said, yes, it does. It's him. She said, okay. Next thing, all the gates started opening.
A moving man would always meet his luck. So far, your emotion.
Opening. It felt, as a young man, who had been chasing this opportunity, whether at federal or wherever, to come in as it just felt like, I'll be honest with you, it felt like the gates of heaven were opening. First gate, second gate, third gate, control room, entered. I just continued to, oh, Your Excellency, I want to do this. There's so many ideas. We can raise money. We can do this. We can do that. There's nothing I didn't say. Eventually, I was handed a letter. And that letter says, you are hereby appointed Senior Special Assistant on Investments. And the journey started. We took that job and worked so hard. I was living somewhere around, not too far from here. And the same culture of the private sector is what I was doing in government. I left the government office 1 a.m., 1:30, back again by 7:30.
I knew I knew you later also worked for the next governor, which is Willoughby. But before we get to that, it's an interview. So let me take you back a little small, because sometimes I invite a guest. We want to learn from their story. From your story, you were more like raised by a single mother.
Yes.
Can you tell us some of the experiences you had? Some people already have this notion that that a child raised by a single mother, they call mom case what are the chances of a child not being wayward? A child that is raised by a single mother. And then what is your experience from a separated home? So that from this guy's experience, it wasn't really easy. It was easy. It's nothing. Leave that talk. Yes. So a separated home, what is a first-hand experience? And a child raised by a single mother, get your experience. How did you become somebody in life? Go ahead.
So one is a separated home.
Yes, one is single mom.
And the other one is the experience being raised by a single mom.
Yes.
And how certain parts of the world chooses to judge people who come from such.
Yes.
I'll take the one where one is raised by a mom, single parent. I'll take that first. Like I said to you, my mother came from very, very humble beginnings. Extremely humble beginnings. Everything she earned, everything she achieved, she worked for it. Right? I think parenting, be it single, be it combined, is all about knowing that your offsprings, your children, are your greatest assets. No matter how wealthy you may be, the greatest investment you have, if you just treat it that way, and even if you take whoever it is, Dangote, $1 billion, $10 billion, refinery of $20 billion, to ensure that offspring is well raised, you have to assume that those children are worth $25 billion if the refinery is $20 billion. And that has to be the mindset. That's what my mom did with us. She treated us as anything concerning these children will be prioritized over and above anything. Single home, she was very humble beginnings. But you look at, after a certain age, when you're looking at people, the strength in a woman, a man, it's not so much how much you have. It's how you've raised the kids and where they are today. So if you look at my home, my elder sister is quite senior at AMCON, federal government agency, very senior there. My immediate younger sisters, one is a top doctor in the US and also at Harvard. The other one is a senior manager in Lagos at MTN. Everybody is based on the hard work. The formula was straightforward. You can only progress in life by ensuring that you work harder than every other person around you. That's one. Two is that she was extremely disciplined and strict. There were rules. So nurture is so critical. Whether you're single home, joint, co-parenting, all of that is what is the value system that the husband and the wife or the mother says, I want to imprint into these children, because the first form of education starts in the home. That's the most important one. Now, how would you say coming from a single home, and I'll be very honest here, right? Coming from a separated home affects one. It's challenging. I grew up without any examples that I could point to as a father. I have basically learned to be a dad by having a son and a daughter. I had no examples that I could point to. My first wet dream, I didn't know who to talk to. When my nipples started hurting me, I didn't know who to ask. I couldn't ask my mom because my friends said they were talking to their fathers. So it was very, very tough. But I also believe that what may have helped me is that if I thought my mother was tough on my kid, on my sisters, she was 10 times tougher on me. And kept indoctrinating, say, you have to be this, you have to be focused, you have to be that, you're the father, you're the husband, you're the this is what a dad would do. But as God would have it, I was also sent to them boarding school. So at least I got the opportunity to live with other young men, learn from them, and in summary, I would say you typically I don't think there's a midpoint. I think there are two extremes. I think that there will always be some level of trauma with kids that were raised by a single parent. But it all depends how you want to channel that trauma when you start your own home. What are the rules? For 10 years, every weekend, no matter where I am, I have to go back to the family. I'll watch football games. I'll take my daughter to ballet. I'll take my wife for lunch or dinner on Saturday. I'll take my wife for breakfast, brunch with her and the kids. Sunday morning after church, all of us together. No business meetings on the weekend unless you meet me while I'm watching my son play football. Anywhere else I am in Nigeria, I make sure I submit by the weekend. That's how I handle the trauma. The trauma of being from a single parent, I channeled it to being the best, trying to be the best father and best husband one can become. I grew up watching a very strong woman. So I come from a world where in selecting a wife, what I found attractive was a very strong, fierce, focused, ambitious woman who could be a partner and not necessarily husband and wife. Why? Because my brother, if that woman at home cannot dress you down, make mockery of you, wash you down completely, tell you that who you are outside is nothing. Once you enter this door, you are just.
Yes.
If you can't have someone that close to you do that, then you're just being led astray. You need that humbling at home. You need to put your feet on the ground and realize that when you come into those doors, it's a 50-50 situation. And that's the mindset. And I got that from, obviously, my upbringing and seeing how strong a woman was and how she dealt with adversities. So I went for a woman that is just, probably people say it's just like her. And I can tell you that it was the best ever decision for me. Whereas some people deal with trauma the other way by showing that they didn't get those experiences, right? So that's really my view.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You subtly mentioned about that one problem that marriage, most especially they blame it on the woman and everything, and then you said something about your dad carrying your name, and they said he was in politics. Didn't you ever meet him after the 5 years?
No, I did. So
Okay.
I have pictures. I still even remember being with him in the house from 0 to 5, maybe once or twice, 3 times. Just gray memories, right? But after that, when I got into primary school, he was always, on my birthday, he would always come. Because he's June 10th, I'm June 15th. So he would come, and then after that, he'll run back to Abuja, run back to some other states. But then just when I started to ask questions about who am I want to get closer to him, maybe when I'm done with secondary school, November 22, 2002, they picked us up from school and told us that my dad was not feeling well and that we were going to Enugu to go and see him. We got back home in Festac, and I said, are we not going? They said, no. I said, come up to the room. Your uncle wants to tell you something. And I saw my mom looking so deflated because for life she kept saying, I love this man, right? Never judged him wrongly and never made any of us hate him. We all loved him. But they broke the news that day that he was dead. He died having a heart attack between driving from Abuja to Anambra. Apparently he was coming to run for Senate. Started feeling pains in his chest. Went to the first hospital. They said there's no light. Second one, they said there's no light. They have a gem but no diesel. And by the time we got to the third one, they said, okay, they've turned on the gen. Let's go and get him out. The nurse looked in and said, this one is a corpse, so you don't die. And that was it. That's the story. So we had a relationship, but it wasn't one that was close enough. I saw him once a year, and then once in a while we would make 1 or 2 trips to Abuja to spend a week with him. But just when I was coming into my own, and I think I wanted to be more around him, that was when he left. That was another defining moment for me. Because it was not normal to lose a parent at 15, 16. And having been told, you have to be strong, you should be a man, you should be this, you should be that, you're the father of your sisters. As a 6, 7-year-old, then you get to 16 and you lose your dad. It was quite traumatic. All my sisters crying. I remember that day in the house. All of them were crying. I left, no tears, went into my room, was playing my games. And at around 10 or 11 o'clock, I slept, woke up the next day, and continued. 2-3 days later, I went back to school, reintegrated. Everybody had heard that my dad was dead. And I said, it's not a problem, it's not a problem. Let's keep going, let's keep going, let's keep going. I remember saying that. And then I think 2-3 weeks after it was his funeral, so many people came, because he was on the political scene, and saw them. And the only time I shed a tear was when they were wheeling his corpse down into the floor. And
it occurred to you? It
occurred to me that he was gone. And it was one teardrop. Cleaned it. And I said, oh well. I felt as a young man, when I was 7, 8, 9 as a boy, that it was just always only me. This time it was the clearest indication that truly you're on your own. You're on your own.
Oh, yeah.
And just made you grow up very quickly, mature mentally very quickly, and just taught us how to deal with adversity quite early.
Do you agree that the parental mistakes rubs off on their children? Some people, they claim that because your father did this, that there are high chances that it will also show up in you as a man. Maybe if your father, they beat your mama, they say if you grow up, if they beat your mama, you now, with your experience now, do you, because it means that tomorrow now, if you separate with your wife, they will say, in Papa do the same. Do you think that such thing is actually attainable, that it happens? That once something, if you're not careful, the mistakes of your parents reflects on you. And if you think it's so, how do one work on it? Go ahead, please.
Igbo gba gburugburu kedu ife mezi na o ji bụrụ na ebe anyị kwesịrị ịtụnye ego na ya ratụ izi nya bụ ego ebe afọ ọkwa imugo nwa ka ya amụ echi inugo nwaanyị ị ga-anụ echi ka bakwa alụ kịta ka ị gbara ana afọ ịgbalụ nwee ike ịpụta echi bụrụ ife ga-aba gị ọgaranya bụrụ ife ị ga-eji wee ko all these big men ịfụ na Igbo ana mere ọtụtụ ihe ha bụ bịa gbara ana kịta nke ikpeazụ a Pine-Leaf ga-emenwu ya Pine-Leaf, the only trusted estate anyị ma ka emesịa nụ.
I think it's a fantastic question. Like I said, nurture for me is more important than nature. Nurture is, the ability to mold, shape. If a young 5, 6, 7-year-old boy or girl experiences, all she sees or all he sees is the father beating the hell out of the mom, slapping her for everything. The truth is that there are higher tendencies that kid is going to grow up believing that that's the way of the world, right? And then it now becomes a case of how to channel that trauma. But it's also linked to, how, if they felt as daddy was doing this, was he also successful? As daddy was doing this, was he celebrated? Or, as they see the full cycle, do they see him being unhappy and regretting some of those decisions? All of these things are critical to how that child turns out, right? So my view is that I think we are a result of all our life experiences. You're a product of our life experience. You get some at home. You get some in school. You get some when you start to date a girl in your relationships. You make certain mistakes. You do things and it turns out well. But I think ultimately, as you start to grow into adulthood, that decision becomes yours. To look at all the examples and experiences you've been through and then be able to identify a path for how you want to be. For me, I love my dad and I wish him well. I pray that he continues to rest in peace.
Amen.
But perhaps the one or two mistakes and how I dealt with those trauma is that to make sure the areas where I felt he didn't do well, I had to overcompensate and be excellent at that in my marriage. And that's what gives me happiness today. So you can already assume I'm not the disciplinarian at home. My wife is the one that is tough on the kids because I feel like I was raised without a dad for the most part. I must ensure that I'm present and they have that experience from me. So sometimes I could end up maybe spoiling them. And my wife tries to bring me back to
balance it
and say, bros, this thing you are doing, we have to end it, But
let's go back to politics. Obiano's administration.
Yeah.
During that time, there were a lot of more like controversies age asiro, commissioner asiro. If you don't get to 30 years, you will be commission. How was the Obiano government for you? How did you get in? And what's up with the whole age matter that year? And I think it was on your 30th birthday that you were made commissioner or something, and you were the youngest commissioner during that government. Guide us. We've not heard that gist well. Go ahead.
Wow.
How did you get into the administration first?
You've done some research.
I have.
So I need to look at these coppers. Maybe they're the ones that have done some serious research. In fact, with the small salary that they will start, they pay us. Please, my brother, they can be assured that I've paid for their lunch for next week. All the coppers. Because,
Thank you, sir.
No, fantastic question.
Thank you.
So we ended it when I had just joined the Obi administration at that point, but it was in the tail end. And early August was the primaries of APGA. At that time, I was actually working closely with the SSG of Siluka Baze. And
OHO.
Yes, OHO. And working closely with him. And we thought he was even going to be the governor.
Yes.
Because he was a strong contender.
Yes.
If you check OHO campaign organization, I probably was even the director of finance. And then he had the issues going through the primaries and didn't scale through. And then overnight, they said there was someone called Willie Obiano. He came from America. He's going to be the next governor. He's going to have APGA tickets. Tough day. Tough. Because in politics, there are camps, right? So for about 3, 4, 5 months, they kept saying he's the one to be governor. So we invested. And I'm not saying money. I'm just saying time, association, support. And then last minute, we hear he didn't scale through the primaries. And it was Obiano. Usually, it means you're on the outside. You can't get in.
That's a different camp.
So he had his guys. And then one day, he was at Trick Point, where he was hosting a few people. And I was told. So I went there. And I went there with a document, 2 pages. The first page is all the things I had done as SSA, Senior Special Assistant on Investments. The second page were the things that I felt if a new government comes in the area of investments, what they should do. And I'll speak about it a little bit.
Go ahead.
The things that I had done, what were they? This famous Sab Miller, they needed extra land at that point and what have you. I was the liaison between Ministry of Finance that gave them their C of O. In my Onitsha shopping mall.
Yes. The ShopRite.
Yes, ShopRite. We structured that project. We helped them get the land. We helped them sort out all the issues at the time. We're going for project meetings every week when they, scoping it out. In Magolo Lake Hotel, all those things. Going to those project sites, trying to put in the initial structures, working, going abroad, searching for the right partners. Then it was Protea we were trying to bring there. And a couple of other things. Then, what was I recommending are things that we should do if Obiano won? Do you know Anambra State Investment Promotion Agency? ANSIPA.
ANSIPA, yes.
We wrote 17 pages of that bill, end to end. I wrote that bill. Prepared it. I said, this investment thing, we have to do it through an agency. That all the states, everybody is just doing it as an essay. That even me, who's SSA Investment, I have become the clog in the wheel of progress. That there was need to turn my office into an agency, institutionalize it, give people, divide labor, give people different responsibilities. So I said, I think if you come in, because you are coming from the private sector as a former DMD of Fidelity Bank, if you go with ANSIPA, you can use that vehicle to attract a lot of investments. I also identified some other projects I thought were important. You know what he told me? He said, young man, I like this, but it's not good enough. I give you the next 1 week to write my manifesto. Give me a draft. I went back to my room that night. I said, God, what kind of opportunity have you given me? You know? And I put out my laptop, brought out a bottle of wine, and I started writing at 8 p.m. By 8:15 in the morning, 12 hours, 15 minutes, I wrote the first draft of the Obiano Manifesto. The first draft was called 3 C's, the 3 C's of the Obiano administration: continue, complete, and commission projects.
I remember that.
Yes.
I remember that.
And then he added a 4C after I gave it to him. He said, commence a new set of projects in line with his own agenda. So his commitment to complete and then to start his own agenda. So he assured me as we were going into the ABGA elections that you have a role in my government, but don't tell anybody. You know? And then he started. So
How old were you then?
27. So by the time he came into office, March 17th, 2014, he called me. He says, where are you? I said, Your Excellency, I'm in Lagos. He said, are you mad? I said, Your Excellency, did I do anything wrong? He said, so you've worked with me all this time. You now decided to run to Lagos when the government is starting? I said, I'm sorry. He said, my friend, will you come back here first thing in the morning? So I caught the first flight, came. He gave me the appointment letter again as Senior Special Assistant on Investments. He said, go and bring that draft law you have. You and the Speaker of the House of Assembly, Chinwe Webili, pass it into law in the next 4 weeks. In 2 weeks, they had passed the law. And that's how we set up that place. I served as the first executive director. ANSIPA. Today, you have Coast Farms in Ibariam, in Omo side. That's ANSIPA. You have the largest poultry facility in southeast, south in Ibariam. That was one of our first projects. Oka Millennium City, if you've been, those are some of the projects we were doing just before I left ANSIPA. So you asked me about what happened, youngest commissioner.
With the age and everything.
So just about that time, having worked 1 year in ANSIPA, 1 full year, I was called to Government House by Governor Obiano to come and pick up a letter and help him deliver it at House of Assembly. So I pick up the letter and I drop it with Chinwe Webili in her office. And then leaving her office, I get another call from Obiano. Mark. I say, yes, sir. Yes, Your Excellency. Say, Bonyala. I say, what did I do, sir? Say, so you can't say thank you? You didn't see what was in the letter? I say, Your Excellency, I did not open the letter. He said, but it was open. I didn't seal it. I said, well, I just delivered it. He said, go back to that office. Then call me later. I go back to our office and I found out that my name was the 6th name on commissioner nominees to be made commissioner in Anambra State government at the time. I called him, I thanked him. He said, no. I like young people with helicopter qualities. I love youths. I don't like expired managers. I only want to work with young people who show helicopter qualities. Do you know how an helicopter flies? I say, yes, sir. It takes off from here and it goes exactly where it wants to land and it drops. See, that's what I mean by helicopter qualities. Young men and women that search and fix. So I said, thank you, sir. So we went through the screening process, answered all the questions on the House of Assembly, on the floor of the House of Assembly. And then the last one came. How old are you? Sir, I'm 28. Say, quiet. Hit the gavel. He's suspended. The screening is suspended. So one or two persons came to me and said, bros, we're going to fix it. Let's go to the court. Sign, do affidavits that you're 30. Because the minimum age for commissioner was 30 then. Say, swear an affidavit that you're 30 and come back tomorrow and let's conclude it. I said, yeah, thank you. As soon as they left, I said, these are the guys. With this story that they know now, they're going to use this story and box me in someday. So may they carry their wahala that if it is God that wants me to be commissioner, I'll be commissioner.
You will.
So with this thing happening, God has said it's not time yet. So I went to Obiano and told him, say, Your Excellency, this is what happened, but I'm going back to the office because I have 3 memos I need to prepare for you for tomorrow. I finished those memos around 11 o'clock, printed them, and then came back to my house, slept, woke up the next morning, got into the office. There was a letter on my table that they've moved me now from executive director and from senior special assistant to special advisor on economic planning and budget to oversee the Ministry of Economic Planning, and no commissioner will be appointed. And that's when the journey started. We came in, my PEMSEC, permanent secretary, was about maybe 70 or so, or 65, as they say on the records, but you know, could have been my father. My director of finance, also quite old. I say, wow, civil servants. But we started managing them, navigating, you know. And that was a very tough year because that was 2015. And the Nigerian economy crashed because of oil prices. Oil prices dropped to about $26. So things were very challenging. And we had just come back from a meeting in Abuja with the governor where they said the economy is now in recession. I think Kemi Adeosun was the minister then. We came back. He was already my SA, my EA in the ministry, to Chuko Obiadi, the state youth leader of ABGA today. He was executive assistant to the governor, posted. So we got back from that trip. We said, Kai, the whole media is awash. It's buzzing. They say Nigeria's economy is in a recession. We are technically in a recession. But that was just all they said. I said, my own approach as a government official, you have to see yourself, in my mind, as someone who provides solutions when there is problems, challenges, or adversity. You don't compound the problems. So I called a small team of young men, him, Obiora Briabomo, who was also more like a chief of staff in the ministry, who ended up becoming the current statistician general of Anambra State. Another young man who was working for me in Ansipa as the head of public-private partnerships. Today, he runs the Enugu SME agency and also the special advisor to the governor for digital economy. We also brought in a few of the young people in my office. We sat down and we said we must provide solutions to this situation. And 3 days later, at Executive Council session, we submitted what will become the Anambra State Economic Stimulus Package. 22 policy actions recommended across 4 areas. So anybody who was in Anambra at the time when you heard wheelbarrow tax was suspended, some of these small taxes suspended in the market, that was the document. Do you remember some things like choose your project, community project? That was the document. Do you remember this social investment program, Empower, school feeding program, all of these initiatives? All of those were the policy actions that we said government needs to focus on these areas to address the economic hardship so that you can stabilize things and then start charting a road to growth. I believe, Governor Obiano, you may ask him, but I believe that the challenges we overcame and that document, the innovation around delivering that document and presenting it to the Anambra State Executive Council, all the commissioners, everybody. And there were maybe 1 or 2 questions, 3 questions, and it was approved. I have a feeling that was the day the governor was convinced that a young man can do this, or a young person can do this job as Commissioner of Economic Planning.
And deliver.
So we kept moving, but it wasn't without challenges. Every day there was one person, you will hear this, they said this person is looking for this job, or someone wants to be made commissioner. They said this person has carried money and are asking for this. Well, for me, it was just a lesson of the best type of politics, my brother. Is the politics of hard work. You will hear this, you will hear that. They will say she did this, he did that, she wants this, she wants that. All of that thing is insignificant if you just say, what is the objective? They say the objective is to deliver on this role, Abi. Work hard, leave the rest to God. And that's what we did. And then my wife came on June 15th to come and see me in Oka for us to celebrate my birthday. She arrived 8 o'clock. By the time she was in my house, it was 9:15. We got ready, about to go to Finotel, to have a Finotel Hotel.
Agwoka.
To have a breakfast under the garden, that green garden. And while we were doing that, while we were preparing, I got a call from the Speaker of the Anambra State House of Assembly. Mark, where are you? I said, I'm around. Come now to the House of Assembly. I have just been instructed by the governor to confirm you as commissioner. So that is where the youngest commissioner name came from, that I was made commissioner on the day I turned 30. And that was the gift he gave me, but also...
Your wife was the one holding the microphone that day.
Yes.
I did a good research.
Yes. She was the one. She was the one holding
shirt
the
and
mic.
trouser.
Yes.
White shirt.
And that's where the journey is. That journey of... In fact, that was probably when most people even started hearing that there was someone in Anambra who was working. So you could see, if you do the search, there was a lot of, he got it because his father was this, got it because his mother is this. Many people did not know. I had already done about 4 deep years in government, serving at the grassroots level, But again, had no time to go and respond to those things. I saw that opportunity in my mind as not one for myself, Mark Okoye. It was actually one that represented all the other young people around the country and young people in Anambra. Because I felt that if I did well on that role, then you've broken a jinx. You've communicated to people that young people can do it. So therefore, people will say, since he was there, it works in 2 ways. The decision makers will say, a young person got the job and he did well, so I will look for other young people. That's one way. The second way is the motivational way, where other young people who are 4 years, 5 years, 10 years behind you will say, if this guy can do it,
yes,
I will do it better.
It's possible.
Because that's the Anambra spirit. That's the South. That's the
Igbo man spirit.
Igbo man spirit of competition. So that's why I really handled that office very, very delicately, to ensure that every decision I'm taking, I had to know that the world was watching and I was setting an example.
Thank you very much, because a lot of people, just like you said, I think somebody mentioned it during our meeting. Some people, when they see you, they say this is a sport brat. There's this gist that Donald Duke carried you and say, make this man who I want him to be and everything. Thank God for the clarification and everything. Now, on a SEDC, you worked with Soludo briefly before you got to SEDC, because I'm not Soludo for some time. And then before we know it, I know I had the SEDC. Some of us already had body SEDC to start with. Take us through that journey of SEDC in the Kawahalundibo. What is even SEDC? Genebo SEDC. Go ahead, please.
No, fantastic. But I think I'll just quickly summarize my experience with Governor Soludo.
Do that.
Now, I met him in the course of service in Anambra State government under Governor Willie Obiano. The governor, Obiano, had committed to doing the Vision 2070 document, 50-year plan for Anambra State. And he appointed to Governor Soludo
as the chairman.
It just so happened that I was Commissioner of Economic Planning. So he then appointed me as a secretary, deputy secretary to the committee. SSG was the secretary. I was the deputy secretary. So we worked on that plan with him for about 2.5 years. Very thorough, very broad, very knowledgeable. It completes, in my mind, the experience I got working with Soludo on that plan. Whilst I will not say anything negative on the governors in Anambra State, right? But Anambra will wear a different look if Soludo was governor some 10, 15 years ago and put forward a master plan for the state. I'm heading somewhere. I told you I worked in Lagos. Around the time I worked in Lagos, these were the early days where we were hearing the governor, who happens to be the president today and my boss, right? Governor President Tinubu, as governor then, he was saying things like, they are working on the master plan for Eco Atlantic. Then, what you call Eco Atlantic today was just Atlantic Ocean and a road that was fading. Again, he said, I'm doing a master plan for Lekki Free Trade Zone, a place where refineries, industrial parks will be sited. Number 2. Number 3, he said, I will do light rail projects. Everyone say all these things, master plan, feasibility study. Then number 4, at the time he said, I will do Lekki Deep Sea Port.
Yes. A
partnership between Lagos State and the... I was telling a young man in Lagos.
Yes.
You don't want to know how people were abusing him. Hey, you stole our money. Use our money for this consultancy, this one, that one.
Yes.
But all I want to say is 20 years later, you can point to Lekki Free Trade Zone. Just one investment that sits there, $18 billion. About 3 times the size of the Anambra economy, of the Enugu economy, is sitting in one, just 2,000 hectares out of over 100,000 hectares. Just one investment. Eco Atlantic, that it was doing planning, master plan, feasibility study, raise money internationally. 1,000 hectares of reclaimed land sitting on the Atlantic. American embassies there. All the banks, big banks, are building their head offices. You go into Lagos, you see a train. All of these things, these are all projects that completely have restructured and redefined the Lagos economy. Right? Oftentimes, those types of projects require taking a long-term view on governance and development and not doing the quick fixes, as they say. It's the exact same thing Governor Soludo is doing. He came in and started doing the mapping of the state. We'll put Anambra mixed-use industrial city here. We'll acquire 5,000 hectares next to the second Niger bridge for the new Niger city. Some call it Onitsha 2.0. We'll build acquire another 2,000 hectares on this road for the New Yorker. We'll move government house. We'll do this. We'll create the new Silicon Valley Solution Innovation District in the old government house. To organize a society, to plan for development, you must take yourself out of a corker. You must take yourself out of where we are and stand and take a bird's eye view and look at the state like this. We border 7 states as Anambra. We have Onitsha River Port. We have Obaro, which is 20-30 kilometers. There is SIPCO here that is doing 10,000 barrels of oil in Obaro. It's only about 25 kilometers from Onitsha Harbour Industrial Estate. We can pipe gas from there to Harbour and reduce their energy bill.
Yes.
This is the agro basin of the state. This is the areas that have solid minerals and what have you. So it allows you to take that strategic view on a state. That's what master planning is. So my job was to work closely with Soludo's government. He appointed me as the MD of Anambra State Investment Promotion Agency, and That was the work we did, doing the new master plans for some of these new initiatives that were coming up that will redefine Anambra's economy. It just so happens that after working for about 2 years in Anambra State Investment Promotion Agency, I was opportuned to then be recommended for the position as MD Southeast Development Commission by the governor. I had also spent time, 1 year before that, writing about the Southeast in a newsletter that I had. And I would say, having spent 13 plus years at the state level, I felt that the Southeast could punch a bit higher if, as a region, it was more strategic. What do I mean? Today, the Southeast is 29,000 square kilometers. If we were one state, we'll be the 13th largest state. So therefore, it means if Niger State at 72,000 square kilometers wants to build a road east to west, it will probably take them 2, 3, 4 times the amount it will cost us in the Southeast as a region of 5 states to build that same road. It means if one state, 72,000 square kilometers, 10 million population, has one education policy, one health policy, one business environment, one Ministry of Lands, one process to get your certificate of occupancies, and then us who are just about 20% of that size, or maybe just about 45% of that size, we have 5 different policies, 5 different Ministry of Works. So just maybe with a smaller landmass, if we were a bit more strategic, and we had all those projects that tie the region together, we could make the Southeast the preferred location for investments. So this was really what that my article was basically saying, that the Southeast is blessed, but it also needs to be a bit more strategic and itemize a clear plan and program that can deliver that prosperity, working closely, having the governors work closely together and work as one. So I'm guessing you probably want to understand the plans for SEDC, or how we got in.
Some people are hearing SEDC.
Yes.
Some of them did not even know that there was something called ENDC in the 50s and 60s, when Michael Okpara was the Premier of Southeast. So I am marketer and I am with state governments. What is a federal commission? This is a federal commission. Okay, I saw the question somebody threw out. You say you are writing some of these things, security this one, but governors are the security officers of. So some people are saying, is there another governor? Who is this guy? Is it? So explain what a development commission is, and then why Southeast has one now.
I think the history of this development commission traces its history back to 1970.
Okay.
After the war, the then military government created a policy called the 3 R's: reconstruction, reconciliation, and rehabilitation, right? But for reasons best known to them, it was never boldly implemented. But prior to that, and prior to the Civil War, there was an Eastern Nigeria Development Corporation, which one could say under the then Emma Okpara, when this same territory, or a little bit bigger than this territory, was won. He did quite a number of things that...
Yes, he did.
ensured that the region was one of the fastest growing in the world, not just in Nigeria. Right? So I see some people try to make those connections, but I'm very quick to tell them that we operated a different style of government then.
Yes.
Now we have the political leadership in the region
Yes.
are the governors. Southeast Development Commission is an instrument that we have been advocating for so long. There have been 5 presidents, there have been 6 military administrators, and the Southeast kept appealing and asking for this. In the last government, it got close, passed, scaled the 3rd reading, it was killed again. Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the only one that said, take it, and signed it into law. First of all the other 4 or 5 development commissions that were created, Southeast was number 1. So what you've seen, I think probably is best that I summarize what the last year has been.
Okay.
We got this appointment on the 6th of December 2024. That's when our appointments or our nominations were announced. It is one of those organizations that needs to go through Senate clearance. So whilst we were appointed, and we're very thankful for that, also thankful to the president for giving us this platform. It was me and another 5 executive directors, and also Chief Emeka Nwogu as the chairman, former Minister of Labor, and some very distinguished personalities around on the board. We felt as the management team, myself and the 5 EDs, one from every state in the Southeast, we felt that this was a huge opportunity and that we needed to start work even before we were confirmed. So we like to say we held about 5 management meetings to discuss and debate on the future of this commission and what we would do once we commenced. So because of our experience, we went back to the manifesto by the president and we read it over Christmas. Every single one of us read it 2-3 times. And the first meeting we called once we came back, January 2025, before we were confirmed though, the first meeting we called was to sit down in a room whilst going through the confirmation process in Abuja.
Yes.
To itemize and identify what are those things that the Southeast needs, what are the problems that we are trying to solve. My brother, there's high youth unemployment, high youth underemployment, there's radicalization,
Yes.
there's strong reorientation needed, there's huge infrastructure deficit, right? There are enormous erosion issues. So the problems are huge. If World Bank summarizes it well, they say the region needs about $10 billion spending on infrastructure yearly. So the question is, amidst all these issues, how do we move forward? So we came up with something called the strategic roadmap, right? Which we started piecing together, which is like a small plan for the next 3-4 years that we are going to implement once we've set up the organization, budgets are passed, and funding starts to come. And that plan essentially looks at the Southeast and says, what can we do now? What can we do in a year? What can we do in the next couple of years? It has a number of areas. And it essentially says, starting from the first, which is what we call the Southeast Regional Security Integration Program. It recognizes that the governors are in charge of security. But it also says that given the proximity of the Southeast, given some of the feedback we've also gotten from the governors, if you saw what was said at the last forum we held, that there might be need, they would like some of us in the SEDC to come up with a security arrangement working with the state government that we can support. I think in Governor Soludo's words about 3 weeks ago, he said a regional security framework, architecture, and infrastructure. Maybe have a command and control somewhere in Enugu for the whole region. My brother, if you've worked with governors, you know that if you want to have that conversation and be taken seriously, You will not tell them, Your Excellencies, governors, please give us the funds. Let's help you build it. They say, he wants to steal this money. You have to bring the money. You have to also put some skin in the game. Put something on the table so that then they know you're serious. And then we'll say, Your Excellencies, you're the leaders. Can we put your security experts in the room and craft what should work that can help us have a one unified market in the Southeast? So that's the first program for the SEDC. The second is what we call the Southeast Regional Industrial Program. Every state in the Southeast, ideally, you hear a development commission. People think a commission that has money set aside, let's start doing quick jobs, boreholes, contracts, and what have you. But you also have to take a look at what is going on in the region. If I just go through, Governor Winfrey is building bridges, 10, 12 mega bridges, mega roads, dualizing roads. You move to Enugu, he's channeling his economy on tourism and hospitality and healthcare, largest hospital, 300 rooms, all of these different things. You move to Anambra, the governor is about to start building 3 new cities at the same time, 1 industrial, 1 commercial. He's dualizing all federal roads. He's making huge impacts in education. Governors that are already in the region are moving resources to the local government so that the local governments can take life again. You go into Imo, the governor has dualized many roads, or is wearing a new look. You pop into Abia, Aba looks like a completely different place. So when thinking about having a development commission, it's an indictment on the Igbo man and even Nigerians to say that with this crop of governors that are doing so well, that we want to go as a regional commission and start doing things at the communal or local level. So for us, we were very strategic and said, we are going to try to create a situation where we work closely with the state governments and roll out programs that support initiatives that they are driving so that we can have a coordinated and more prosperous region. So therefore, the second program that we have captured is something we call the Southeast Regional Industrial Program. Essentially what it does is that it says, Ebonyi has special agro-processing zone, pretty much an agro-industrial park they're thinking about and working on now. Enugu has different special economic zone and free trade zones. Anambra has Anambra mixed-use industrial city. Imo has Orashi special oil and gas free trade zone. Abia has Abia integrated industrial park zone. Our own view is to create, instead of building roads from Iftedunu to Aba, that's something the local government chairman in either Dunukofia and Njikoka can connect and build. We will rather support our state governors and take roads into industrial parks, because this is the program captured on a few pages of Mr. President's Renewed Hope Agenda manifesto that we will do. Because when you take infrastructure into industrial parks, it creates investment in industries, and those industries create jobs, and those jobs are the middle class, and that middle class are the people who spend money to catalyze an economy. That's 2. The third program we have captured is something we call the Southeast Investment Company.
Good news. From anywhere you are in the world, you can now be our guest on GBAM. As long as you have an internet connection and a mobile device, you can now be interviewed from our studio anywhere in the world. Contact the numbers on your screen to book a session with us.
The role of it is to basically say, we know that budgeting and funding from government can be quite challenging, right? So how can we make a sustainable situation where we're able to raise capital from the private sector, raise capital from Igbos, and raise capital from even Yorubas, raise capital from international organizations, and bring that money into the Southeast to develop major infrastructure projects. So through the Southeast Investment Company, that's where we'll be doing a lot of feasibility studies for the Southeast Gas Master Plan. We'll do feasibility studies for the Southeast Regional Rail. We'll do feasibility studies for the best location to site a river port. Also, again, in collaboration with the state government. Then you move on to another area, which is really the human capital development for our young people. Because our view is that we have to be structured to ensure we make the right investments vis-a-vis in people and in hard infrastructure. If you build feasibility studies and eventually in 2-3 years get your rail, if the young man or woman does not understand the importance of that rail and doesn't have collective ownership of that rail, they'll be the ones to destroy it. They'll be the ones to remove the different boats and what have you on the tracks. So therefore, I think, and from our own estimates, this region has 74 or 75% under 35. You cannot be a government agency that is focused on the region and only focuses on heavy infrastructure. More so, in line with the manifesto of the government that we're working for, Mr. President, we pulled some areas in that document that speaks to the young people and providing them support. But we're thinking about it differently.
Yes.
So the next program we have captured is what we call the Southeast Venture Capital Program. You look at our universities, you look at our tech hubs, you look at our computer centers, there's so much innovation from young people. But the biggest problem is with that innovation, they push it to the level they can, and then funding becomes a problem. So without that venture capital, all you have is underutilized potential in our young people. They keep going to Lagos in search of opportunities, and then after Lagos, if nothing comes out of that, the next is to Japa to see if they can find a job working in some supermarket. So our view is that we want to invest in innovation here in the Southeast. We have our own Mark Zuckerbergs. We have our own Inya Boyejis. We have our own Paystacks. We have our own Money Points. These boys and girls are here, but they just need to be given that opportunity in a structured program. And that's what the Venture Capital Program will do. The other form of youth empowerment that we're looking at, which we commenced the thinking and structuring last year, is the Southeast Grassroots Sports Program. It is so important. Not only is it a point in the manifesto, but it's something that the region already has the raw potential for. It just needs to be structured properly and the right investments made. The other area, the other two more areas is one, the Southeast Agro Development Program. What do we want to do there? The biggest hindrance to agriculture in the Southeast is land development. If you go to Aba, you go to Ifteduno, and they give you 10 hectares of land, you see a lot of heavy stump trees sitting there. Where you see those trees, it means you can't use a tractor. It means you will have to only use your hands, your hoe, and be planting around the trees. So our job is to see how we can reduce the risk to ensure investment comes in. So we have a program that will go in, clear the land, work with the state government and the community, and then offer the land to investors for mechanized agriculture to address our food security concerns, but also address job creation in the region and therefore boost that economy. The last 2 points from our plans is one around it's one around leadership. Leadership is extremely critical. We're extremely passionate about it. It's very important. And we believe that we're going to create what we call a fellowship program where young people can actually apply and come in and work with us at SEDC for a 1-year internship. And we'll push them. We'll get them to work extremely hard, learn public policy, learn budgeting, learn community stakeholder engagement, all of these different things. Why? Because it's so important to groom the next batch of young leaders. This thing is the most critical thing. You can build El Dorado here, but if they're not young men and women that are sitting back and ready to devote their future to serving humanity, everything falls like a pack of cards. Lastly is, what have we been up to? We've been 1 year in the office. So everybody say, what are we doing? What has happened? My brother, we launched what I would say the most ambitious stakeholder engagement exercise. And it was for a reason. We came in February 10th. By February 11th, history was made. We were the first. It probably hasn't happened in government in Nigeria. The first day the agency was created, we held a meeting and we approved our 2-year plan. By the second day, the board of the organization, all 18 members, led by our capacity chairman, he approved the strategic roadmap. We took that same thing the next week. We went to our National Assembly committees, and it's not just help us approve it quickly. No, we spent 1 to 2 hours with them, explaining to them these ideas and letting them understand why we don't want to go the approach of the micro initiatives. But instead, we want to think big, huge ambitions, but do it in a structured way. When we were done there, we took all the board, the chairman led us, and we went to all the 5 Southeast governors, presenting that plan and asking them for their input 1 year ago. When we were done with that, we went to Enugu, sat in a room with 170 of the organized private sector, Manufacturers Association, National Association of SMEs, Chambers of Commerce of all the major cities in the Southeast. We presented for 45 minutes and we listened for 5 hours. It was in that meeting. Because why stakeholder engagement is good is that you're listening to the people who are creating jobs. You're listening to the people who are the average man in the economy, and you're hearing their expectations. Going into that meeting, 65% of our audience say, start with regional rail. We need it like yesterday. When we sat with owners of capital, industrialists, they said, if you start with rail, we will burn your office down. We said, why? He said, the most important thing we need is gas. All our factories are running on diesel and it's taking up 70% of our turnover. But gas will reduce it by almost 80%. So therefore, you focus on gas, it allows us to industrialize. When you industrialize, you create jobs. When you create jobs, you actually have the people that will ride the trains, the businesses that will also be riding on those trains, and most importantly, you have the energy and the power source to energize the trains. This again, you're getting live feedback from them. After that, we went online. We sat with diaspora through Twitter and spoke to 5,000 people, presented our plans, and we took 72 questions. People shared their ideas, their thoughts, and this and that. We moved on. Went again to Abuja and sat with the international development organizations. We said, here is our plan. We want to come to you for funding in the future. Critique it. Let us know the areas where you think we should change. When we were done with that, we kept moving. Last year for us was for us to build the real institution. It was always clear that because of the debt that the government was servicing, inherited debt that the federal government was servicing, that there were going to be liquidity challenges. In spite of not earning salary even, the SEDC, the executive management, was working every day, ensuring that we could put forward a program. And with that program, once the funding starts to come, we then start to unlock it. But we cannot build El Dorado in one day. The examples we have of places that have created and transformed their economies, it didn't happen in 6 months. It took time. So the Senate issue.
Before you get to the Senate issue, so I must follow suit when one senator recommended that you have oral prowess. I don't know whether it's a Yoruba or something. I must commend you for that, but the grammar is too much, you know. How do we make the woman in Ezeago understand what you guys are doing? How do we make the woman in Atekoka? How do we make the person at EZ equal understand in strategic, industrial? How do we put the ball on the floor and start rolling? Because Afomo, your interview with one Olusegun Dada, when you went to present to the president what you guys have done while 100 days in office, this was May last year.
Yes.
And this is almost what you were saying there. You know, we can't keep hearing this thing because I saw it. 78 major programs. That is what you said, you guys. One of them is the Southeast Security Intervention. You know, you also mentioned agro development program and everything. You also said this. There is something that you actually said, and I want to ask you. According to you, and I quote, there are also some interesting things that you presented to the governor that he had. To the president Tinubu, that he has given his approval, but you will wait for his office to formally announce those things. According to you, you said that you think that the Southeasterners will be getting perhaps one of the big announcements that hasn't been done, perhaps in the 60s. You said it. Something that will catalyze the real sector and the industrialization space within the Southeast. What is this announcement? Why hasn't it been done? You said this by May last year. This is going to a year now.
It was announced by June 18th.
It was announced. What was the announcement?
The announcement is Mr. President, in his own right, made an approval for us. Okay, maybe I just need to explain to you how government works. Right? As a government agency, you are not a private sector organization.
Okay.
You have powers to regulate the society. You have powers captured in your law.
Yes.
Right? That you can draw on. But you cannot function like a private company. Right? As a government agency, you would depend on whatever resources that are put in the agency. And then that's where you scope your work and then you take off. Right? What Mr. President did with that announcement and approval was to give us, a government agency, the approval to go and create our own investment company that we will use to operate and bring in resources from our brothers abroad, from our brothers around the country, from other people who want to invest in the region. We can use that to then complement whatever funds we get from the federal government for impact. Let me give a simple example. If, for example, we got a land somewhere in Oka, and we said, oh, let's build a modern world-class market there, because Oka needed one that will serve Oka, most of the communities all the way closer to Onitsha, and even parts of Enugu. And this market could cost maybe 50 billion, for example. Maybe SEDC does not have more than 2 or 3 billion to bring into that project. This Southeast Investment Company allows us bring our 3 billion, use it for architectural designs, maybe initial foundation, the drawings of the market, and then take that project and offer it to our people and say, come and invest and own a piece of it.
Yes.
That is the vehicle that allows us to mobilize those resources to fast track these things. Number 2, say gas pipelines today. There is gas in Oguipele. There is gas in Orashi. As a government agency, all I can do is to say, we have done a plan. And when I have that plan, what do? I will appeal to the governors, appeal to other key stakeholders. let's go and present it in front of Mr. President so that he can fund it. And it adds to all the other priorities of all that the government is facing. With this investment company, do you know what we can do? If we finish that plan, that company can go and take that project to any bank in the world and say, this is a $1 billion project. This is the feasibility study. This is the return on investment. And that bank can fund that company. So it allows us come into the region and have a platform that we can use to raise any type of monies for projects in the Southeast, whilst building a wealth base for the Commission and for the region. Ultimately, with the approval he gave, even everybody who's from the region and beyond will be given the opportunity to own a piece of that company. The state governments will be given the opportunity to invest in that company. That company, if you saw the approval that was announced on, I think, 18th June last year, it said it's drawing its foundations from the Eastern Nigeria Development Company. So it's something similar, but the difference between what he approved for the SEDC and the Southeast versus what existed before is that then it was operating at purely government. Now we can offer it to GBAM, and GBAM can say we are going to put 5 million naira and buy some percentage in that project. That's the difference. That's the difference. Say, for example, let me give you another example. The Southeast Venture Capital Program is it's an SEDC design program, but the vehicle that will carry that program is Southeast Investment Company. Because even if, for example, we have 1 or 2 billion to invest in that fund, we are going to open venture capital to other people who want to invest. What is it, bad boy? That's venture capital. But why is it not as robust as it used to be? Technology has disrupted our markets. Everybody is sitting, owners of those markets are relaxing somewhere, using a sales girl they are paying, and they are still doing their trades. So already the Igbo man is used to investing in new ventures and giving life to a young person. We think that that same mindset can be redirected to invest through the venture capital and give us a thriving innovation and digital economy in the Southeast. All these things like gas, like rail, that is the same vehicle that we want to use to do the planning so that we can use that vehicle to easily raise funding. So I was in a board meeting earlier today. We were already putting the finishing touches to that company. Its own board is going to be announced. We are going to seed some funding into it so that a number of these initiatives will start rolling out. But I don't want to say too much because I think the next 100 days are going to be quite exciting for the Southeast.
We're looking forward to it. we need to, but I understand the stage where you guys are in now is not yet kinetic. It's not yet in motion. You guys are still appealing, projecting, proposing, and everything. Nkaifo trend, just this week. I forever apuye adore and everything. I actually a lot of Ndibo were not impressed by what they saw and everything. And then someone like me, I bought into some of their sentiments because we saw a lot of bogus stuff on that we did not understand. And then somebody said one from one AIF media, I do not know why Ndibo who found themselves in leadership positions turn their back against their people, Then some people bought into the sentiment of Ayaka Nsugbe, Senator Tony Nwoye and everything. They were saying, where is the infrastructure? You're talking about CCTV, talking about stakeholders, and then millions of money will go into just meeting. Where is the infrastructure? And then a short clip of you talking about orientation. And I wonder, is this a category? Look, so can you give us a robust explanation? You've already said, don't repeat yourself what you said, because we've already seen the video and everything. Some of those things in the budget, is it if I rightly have the budget here, I can see procurement of equipment, CCTV drones, innovation hubs, legal setup, technical. Can you break some of these things down? And would you say that they present it be HO present or now mistake, or are you still standing where you are and then you need to explain better? Please go ahead. That Senate committee presentation. No,
I'm sure. I've tried not to actually speak about this because I'm just someone who believes in allowing your performance, right?
To speak for you.
To speak for you and to speak for itself. My records are there. I have served in Igbo for the last 13 and a half years. And it's there for everyone to see. A Google search, in fact, leave Google, ChatGPT, anything. You ask. And it won't tell you the personality. The world is so advanced now.
It is.
The SEDC, like I said, I talked to you through some of our initiatives. So I think maybe that was a budget session that lasted, say, about 2 hours, 15 minutes. There were probably about 7 or 8 senators that came in, and maybe about 6 or 7 sat through for the whole 2 hours. We spent the first hour taking the Senate committee through all we had done in the last 12 months. You're starting a brand new organization. There have been challenges financially in terms of funding because the government is prioritizing some critical infrastructure projects and also debt service, paying off loans that they had inherited from the previous administration. So the question was, what do? Do you just sit back and wait? Or do we take the bull by the horn and just continue to work and do all the planning such that this year, when the resources come, we can take off? And that's what the team at SEDC, be it the executive management and the chair and the board, decided to do. All our efforts culminated in an event that I don't think the Southeast has seen before. The one that held between the days of 3rd to 6th. And it was chaired by the vice president, who came down and had and all the 5 governors were there. In that meeting, we spent 4 days. We didn't do any marketing, no pre-event marketing. We just put the link for people to come and share their thoughts for the long-term plan of the region. 5,000 people signed up. 4,200 or so showed up. Every day on average, we're getting 2,000 people come. Different sessions, different sectors, people present, and you allow the common man or woman contribute their own ideas. Allowing government to work for the people. We were there for 4 days, not doing any talking, but listening and hearing what the people want, documenting it. So that way, we say we have created a platform for everybody to come and share their thoughts. The day we posted about that event, everybody said, stakeholder, everybody, consultation. But that is your greatest tool in government, to give people the opportunity to say, this is what we want. And amongst all the stakeholders, the ones who are most critical to us are the governors and the state governments in the region. Because we're a federal government agency that is located here. So seeing all of them on that day and them all the governors giving their input on what they think we should do. Governor Abia said, you see geometric energy? I already have power there. We can increase the capacity and use that to feed power and provide power 5,000, 10,000 megawatts to all the states in the region. Each of us cannot go and be doing our own individual 1,000 megawatt projects. It's not, you need economies of scale. Governor Ebonyi said, Ebonyi can be the agriculture hub and solid minerals hub. We can have a new cement plant. We can have agriculture industry that feeds the whole region. So that way, every part of the region is having core competence. Governor Soludo said, keep it simple. 3 to 4 things. Give us rail. Give us gas. Give us a regional security architecture and infrastructure that all of us can contribute to and work on. And then help us with some policy coordination. Governor Hope said, I am the gas basin of the whole region. So let's work on gas pipelines. Take the gas from Imo and let's bring it to all the different states. And then Governor Peter Amba, who was the host on that day, said, let's imagine a world of no borders amongst our states. Let's think together. Southeast should have one education policy, one healthcare policy, one this policy, and one infrastructure, and the regional connectivity around transportation corridors, logistic corridors, rail. Let's think about all of these things together. That was the critical feedback. And that informed also how we were thinking of our plans and our budgetary provisions.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we held this meeting at the Senate, and it was a fantastic meeting. They listened to all these initiatives. We spent time discussing the programs and then taking them through our own proposal, which, of course, they will review and then approve, give us the necessary approvals. All of them had amazing things to say. My big brother and my friend, Senator Tony Woye, who's very close, we're close, we talk. He happened not to have come, I think, early for the meeting and popped in for about 5 minutes and then saw some parts of the document and made a comment and then left 5 minutes later. And it just so happens that, this season, some of the media people take 1 or 2 things and
Headline.
put a spin and what have you. But I don't think those things are quite necessary. I think our people need to understand that there is a strong commitment from the team to get things done. And then, social media, people like to play some games. I think the young man who handles that page just was clever by half and selected 1 or 2 areas. The budget provision has capitalization. That is us putting money into Southeast Investment Company so that it can start doing some good work. It was not mentioned. The budget also has funds for Southeast Venture Capital. Very soon, the portals will be launched. Young people with tech ideas can get funding, $10,000, $20,000 for their innovation. It was not mentioned. The budget has Southeast Industrialization Program, which is us building infrastructure and industrial parks in collaboration with the states. It was not mentioned. To spur industrialization. The budget has Southeast Agro Development Program, investing in land development across key communities and farming settlements, old ones and new ones. We've already mapped 4 states as I speak. We've already designed sporting infrastructure as I speak at our universities. We've designed innovation hubs at our universities. All of these different initiatives captured in that program. The budget also had Michael Okpara Leadership Program for Young Leaders, also not addressed. All of these different initiatives. So the person, I think, wanted to be clever by half, pick 1 or 2 things, paint a picture, push a narrative. But you know what I keep telling people? If you cannot take criticism, if you cannot take admonishment, if you cannot take daggers thrown at you, then stay in the private sector. If you want to be in government, be ready to have thick skin.
Yes.
Because oftentimes, the decisions taken by leaders in government that have redefined society which people love today, everybody vilified them at the beginning. And to that point, obviously, you know, as much as we pray, we put forward a budget provision, there's always the prayer that, you know, it will be fully implemented. But where it is not, that's why we have the Southeast Investment Company, to be very creative how we go into opportunities.
I hope you succeed. And then I agree with you about the black man. Most times we attack what we don't understand instead of sitting back to observe and then give it time. What we do is attack. But are you saying that what Senator Tony Okoye said was out of place? The remark of infrastructure and everything, focus on infrastructure. Do you think it was out of place? The remark of Tony Okoye?
I would not say that per se. The only place, for example, if I got the opportunity to obviously spend some time with him, I think if he had heard the whole program, he would have a different opinion. For example, in his remarks, he said that every community needs to feel SEDC's impact. SEDC is not a community development commission. SEDC is a regional development commission. Right? So, if we're in a situation where the state governments in the Southeast are no longer building primary healthcare centers, building community centers, building boreholes, renovating classrooms at primary school level, they are handing that over to their local governments. How do we come into that space, create conflict, confusion, and disorganization?
Yes,
exactly. So our own view is that it's a perfect advice to focus on infrastructure, but our focus has always been region-wide infrastructure that touches on the entire region.
What to benefit the region?
Everybody. So the only way Mama Chichi, Nona Okpomili in Ifteduno will ultimately feel our impact is if perhaps there's part of Ifteduno that has land for agriculture. Right?
Okay.
If there's part of Ifteduno that benefits from the sports grassroots infrastructure program. If there's part of Ifteduno that is carved by the state government and it says they want to do a special economic zone industrial park here and we're able to put our roads there, these are the ways that they will get it.
You won't go to people's house and then give them the benefits. You are not in that grassroots.
No.
There's a local government, there's state
government.
Your own is regional. Okay.
Last one, I actually believe, like I said, Senator Tony Okoye is a big brother. He's a friend, and I love him till tomorrow. Right? I think if he had sat in that meeting early enough, what I think his comments would have been having listened to all the 7-8 major programs. He's the senator for the wealthiest constituency in the Southeast. Let's take a back seat. Anambra North has Onitsha River Port, built under Shagari, not taking off because of the dredging of the Niger and one or two issues. Anambra North has SIPCO in Oguipele, which is doing about between 7,000 to 8,000 barrels of oil with a lot of gas. Anambra North has Onitsha Harbour Industrial City, right? Which has Dozie Oil, Sab Miller, all of those things. Anambra North is the agro basin for the state. Anambra North has Omo Rice Mill and a lot of agro investments made in the 70s and 80s, held by maybe Lower Anambra Irrigation Project, all of those different things. Anambra North has the largest market in West Africa, right? My take is that if you had listened to the first part of the presentation where we were talking about some of the feasibility studies we will do so that we can take some huge opportunities like this, package them properly, and bring them to raise funds for it so we can resuscitate some of these initiatives, I'm certain that the conversation would have been of all these major things in Anambra North Senatorial Zone, which one can you help us, working with the state government, working with the owners of those mega assets, take it to the market and raise money for it and resuscitate it? Each one of the things I just discussed, whether it's the pipeline from Okoye to Harbour Industrial Estate, whether it's trying to see how we can do something around Onitsha River Port, whether it's getting the lower Anambra irrigation project in Omo up and running, any one of these things I've said, if you resuscitate it, it's 20,000 jobs minimum. It might take us a year and a half of struggling, packaging it and cleaning it up, and then raising money for it. But once it takes off, in that year and a half, even if you want to build classroom blocks, you've done maybe 100. If you want to do 20 boreholes, you've done 20, 30, 40. Come after. My brother, we've been doing the same thing. I would have even said that Federal Ministry of Water Resources has done a master plan, from what I remember, 8 years ago, 7 years ago, to bring pipe-borne water to the whole of Onitsha and its environs. That's a project that we should take very quickly, working with the key stakeholders, and take it to Ministry of Finance and appeal for it to be taken to World Bank so they unlock $100 million so that people get pipe-borne water in Onitsha. For me, these are the strategic sort of initiatives that Development Commission, us at SEDC, want to tackle, and not so much the micro interventions, so that you leave those areas for the people close, the governments closest to the people, local governments, even PG associations are doing boreholes.
Yes.
So you can't take regional
individuals
and be impacting at communal.
It's good that you are shedding more light. I told you that some of us don't even know what is a federal commission or maybe a development commission. He mentions classroom and everything, and then we have local government chairmen, we have senators representing those constituencies. It's good that you shed light.
My brother, imagine you are a local government chairman now in Njikoka local government. Imagine Victor Ome sending a letter to you saying in Agulu Zibo, in Henry, in Obeledu, he needs you. No. Imagine if in Aba, right?
Yes.
Because that is his senatorial zone.
Yes.
In Aba, in Enugu,
even those
in
places
Nimo.
you mentioned, he covers it.
Yeah, he covers it, but you will be a local government chairman in Njikoka.
Yes.
So imagine if he sends you a letter, you see it with his seal, everything, from the senator representing Anambra Central, asking you to please intervene in 2, 3, 4 areas, one in Nimo, one in Enugu, one in Aba. Do you know how honored you will feel? Think about the psychology.
Yeah, of course.
And the senator just tapped you and said, young man, please assist me. You would find a way to go around it to see how you do that. This thing just means government at all levels speaking to themselves strategically, but also asking the right offices what fits within their own remit and coverage area. That's all I'm saying. It will be mind-changing for a young man who's a local government chairman and his senator says, please, the people of Nimo have asked for one borehole. You go there and inspect it and you feel like, I've done this, and you let him know. He will be happy. The people are happy with the project. You are delivering based on your responsibility from the state government.
Yes.
And what have you. Everyone is happy.
Yes.
Imagine SEDC coming in now and doing that initiative. The local government will say, SEDC came and built a borehole in Nimo, but that was not in my agenda. I was thinking that in Nimo, I will build classroom blocks. Now, they've come and intervened. Conflict of interest. The state government say, there's so it creates this situation where in meetings with Mr. President, all MDs, all chairmen, we've been told, focus on region-wide issues, connectivity around the region, right? Areas that are of high impact. Then we sat and went to all the governors. The governor said, leave those areas let's discuss rail, let's discuss gas pipelines, let's discuss major infrastructure initiatives. How can I spend time taking their executive time, listening to their feedback, and then go and start intervening? So I just think it was maybe a case of, if he had been in the meeting earlier and heard some of these things, then there would have been stronger alignment. But he's always a brother and always available to, if we see next, I'm sure me and him will share one beer or one bottle of whiskey. It's not an issue.
Very important.
We just need our people to calm down. SEDC, the Southeast, is on the right track.
We hope so. You mentioned orientation in one of your clips. Some people did not understand what you mean. Working on the minds. Though in our meeting the other day, you actually emphasized and then we understood, but some people did not hear you. Okay, he mean it by we need orientation. We need to work on our people, on the minds of people. Why do we need that? Why do such commission need that? On any they go to church now, they should preach to them at the church. They should go to therapy session. Why do SEDC wants to be the ones to actually champion the cause of orientation, working on our minds? Go ahead, please.
There have been 5 development commissions created by Mr. President. Southeast Development Commission, South Development Commission, Southwest Development Commission, Northwest Development Commission, and North Central.
I want to make healthy living a culture in our society. The time to make exercise, you sweat. That sweat is very important. Ibana garden, bela kokoni, very natural food. Or if your body need it, just new abona day to chukusike.
Of these 5, every other one is standard. You are set up to do a long-term master plan, long-term infrastructure projects, this and that. The only one that had a unique brief is SEDC, which said to deal with the post-war reconstruction of the Southeast. I leave that there, and you move to the event we had in Enugu, where Governor Soludo spoke. Read his speech again. He said the Southeast is not battling one war. That's the mindset of the people. That the Southeast is recovering from 2 wars. Right? One, he said, the 1970 Nigerian Civil War. And number 1, the second one, he said the war the Southeast fought against itself. Right?
The self-infliction.
Yes. I happened to be here during that time. In 2020, I mean, when some of these things started. And, sometimes we tend to forget what our immediate past seemed like. In 2020, if you are in a nightclub in Okoye on Club Road, you can leave that nightclub at 11:30 and say you're driving to Okoye. And you get into Okoye. It happened too many times. There's a time we were here in Oka at 10:15. He said, come to Escape or wherever it is in Enugu. The place is hot. We started driving. We got there at 1 a.m. We partied there. Finished 2, 3 a.m. We came back to Oka. That is what it felt like here. And then, the situation with the agitation, the insecurity, and all of that happened. And we lost it. The economy tanked, but most importantly, the impact on the minds of our young people was completely, or a majority of our young people was destroyed. I keep saying it, the mind, my own greatest asset, my greatest asset is my mind. Anybody you look at, say, what do you think keeps them going? It's the mental strength. It's the way you process things. It's how you see the future. It's how you see the world. We have, and I say this very delicately, but we need to reimagine a world where the other parts of other tribes in Nigeria feel that they can come into the Southeast, they can invest in the Southeast, they can come and spend time in our hotels and relax. The perception from the outside is so different from the reality. That event we did in Enugu, 900 people flew in. 60% of the 900 were not Igbos. And all you kept hearing in the crowd, wow, I didn't know Southeast like this. I didn't know the people are so nice. I didn't know the place is so beautiful. Right? We have so much to give Nigeria. And Nigeria in its current state patronizes and make it is easy. We are some of the greatest beneficiaries of the Nigerian state in its current operations, in the sense that we are everywhere. We're in Lagos, we're in Kano, we're here, we're in there. There's been a lot that has happened. And some of those reasons, some justified, some not. But we need to also take our own future into our hands. Which is why, in my view, and it may not necessarily be SEDC's program. I'm often, on things that are this delicate, I always prefer where the people are designing it for themselves. And then we support such initiatives. Because amongst our young people, there's young people who are saying, we can be better, we can also become a governor, we can also become a Dangote, and we are Igbo, and we are Nigerian, right? But there's also some that are saying, I don't want to be part of this. I don't want to be part of this situation. I don't care about this.
Count me out.
Count me out.
I no follow.
Oftentimes, the best way to confuse I no follow is not Mark Okoye, MD, coming and saying, you must follow. It is the young men and women at BAM TV who see a future for themselves in Nigeria, telling the others and saying, this is why we must believe, and stimulating that kind of conversation. So our view is that until, why the orientation is so critical is, that's where you get collective ownership. That's where you get collective buy-in. That's where it's like the central processing unit of the human body. All decisions are taken by here. So unless here buys into that future, you can build El Dorado. You will not maximize potential, no matter what.
I clearly understand what you're saying, collective ownership. When you know that this is our own, even if when those people are not around, you would also follow protect them. You can look at the case of the second Niger Bridge and the whole, Anogida Sina Ezu Road, because they feel it is not our own. There's no collective that this is for our own good. Though.
Yes.
That if I commode this thing for here now, the next car if you run get accident, if you be my mama.
That's it.
So I am actually understand what you're saying. Then anyway, conversation. I read your document. You wrote a piece you wrote in 2024. I think you put the link today and then ask people to go and check it out. Establishing the Southeast Development Commission, a path to economic revival.
Wow. The research is something else.
In this document, you mentioned something that has to do with the Civil War, I think more than 3 times. First of all, you even actually acknowledge that the bill was first introduced in National Assembly in June 2016, which seeks to reconstruct and rehabilitate infrastructure damages suffered by the region during the war. And then there was another place you still mentioned the war and everything. And that brings us to the Biafran conversation. Whether you like it or not, whatever your job is, if you do it well, there will be a lot of coming of knives. Okay, they have remembered us. Okay, okay, just like the Igbo presidency that we're seeking. When we hear Bono Imeketa, some of these people will be like, okay, So part of your job is to also even do something that could calm ndị na-asị na ha ga-achọ ịpụ and everything. We are avoiding this Biafran conversation, which brings us to the person of Nnamdi Kanu. What is your position as we must have that conversation. We can't keep avoiding it. What is your position? A traditional ruler in front of the president. Some people say he had the privilege to say something else, and what he was asking is for the release of Nnamdi Kanu. And some of us know that there was a time even Soludo went for this. It was released. I saw a signboard at ABS Junction. Soludo said, if you want peace in Southeast, release Nnamdi Kanu. That was embodied. Get the position of the SEDC. Can we have this Nnamdi Kanu's conversation? Or do you think it's irrelevant? Go ahead.
Well, the truth is, when I speak to you here, I speak partly as Mark Okoye, the young man who's from the region, from Anambra State, but I'm also speaking as the head of a federal government agency.
I understand.
Where we have to follow due processes, and the government, a process has been, in fact, an arm of government has followed its process. There's also been quite some pleas by political leaders from the region on their own decision on what to do around him, as the case may be. We're young men. I am of the opinion, right, that the crux of this issue of agitation, feelings of marginalization, is purely an underdevelopment issue. For me, if we had trains going from here to Enugu and you could come there in 40 minutes, you had gas being piped from Imo, powering industries here, you had international flights from the southeast to China, to Beijing, to London, to America. You had investments coming into the region, Money Point, Paystack, all of these entities. Flutterwaves were young men who are here and created it here and live here. My brother, we will not have any of these issues. So I think, I'm of the opinion, strongly, that this is the first time the Southeast has a federal government agency that has said, that has recognized that there was a civil war and there were promises made to Igbo land, right?
Yes.
And that used this vehicle to fulfill some of those promises.
Yes.
If we're small thinking, we'll be looking at, 140 billion. Let me explain that 140 billion. If I'm just a figure, right? At best, even if it was 100% implemented, right? i.e., we got 140 billion in a year. That is under $100 million.
It is.
The concept design for the Southeast Regional Rail is $6 billion. One that connects all the Southeast states and gives us connectivity to the Port Harcourt-Maiduguri line, and potentially can even go through Cross River and connect to Cameroon, Douala, and all of that. That's a $6 billion project. That's 9 trillion naira. That's almost 30, 40 times the 1 year allocation. So we have to, but if we understand how to use finance, we can take a bit of that money, make that project appealing to international financiers. Make that project appealing to international funds and to our people to also invest in bringing those things. I'm of the opinion that a lacuna was created and it was then capitalized on. My view is that we have this platform. My duty is to see how we take this conversation, and not my duty, I mean, when I say my duty, I mean our collective duty, is to see how we move this conversation from a point of grievance, anger, and channel all that energy to development and imagination, i.e., focused on humanity and then looking forward, right? Biafra, the truth about Biafra, and I look at around the room and I see perhaps only one person that may be closer to that generation. We were raised hearing uncles, aunties speak about the pains of that war, right? And we also saw them make emotional decisions, or decisions that were informed by that pain. When we look at the last 40 years, with that being on the mind, can we say that the Southeast is maximizing its potential? I don't think so. So my view is that we've tried a certain way from those who are closest and experienced it, or those who came after and were quite close to those memories. I'm of the opinion that the Igbo man of today, of the modern era, the Igbo lady of the modern era, needs to say, are we going to go on this same cycle and do the same things our parents and their generation did? Or are we going to break away from that mindset and say, we can do something together and it could be really powerful? This is mine. This is my view.
You know, a lot of people could say, you know, we've tried this now. You know, after the war ended, 70, there was 80, 90. You know, okay, we don't accept, say, let's reintegrate. What did it benefit us and everything? And then through the 90s, some people will say that we've actually tried to say, okay, we don't agree now. But you see, from 70s to the 90s, still the likes of Wazirike reared up his head in 1999. Won't you actually bite their sentiment that Ndi Igbo actually have tried to actually say, Nigeria, okay, we are with you. But it seems we're still not being reintegrated fully. You just said it. 54 years ago, Gowon said 3 hours we would reconstruct, reconcile, rehabilitate. But, you know, according to that your very document, you say that some of these things were not even achieved. If I can quote you rightly, you know, has it been achieved? How do you plan on? You say some of those things, despite this commitment, many promises were not fully realized due to limited resources, bureaucratic influences, and political complexities. You know, you actually captured it, actually. So won't you actually buy to some people say, we've actually accepted to actually be in one country, but it seems we're not being favored? What do you tell some of those our parents are saying, but we've tried to be here, but if like say they don't want us to be here?
Well, it's quite an interesting one. I'm thinking as you are asking.
You're thinking.
I would say...
Let's try again.
I would say we have to keep trying. We have to keep trying. I would also say we have a great opportunity now, in the sense that I think as a batch, we have some of the best political leaders as governors,
right,
in Nigeria today.
Right?
Yes, definitely. You know, in the time when I compare the different batches, having worked across 3 batches of governors, so what we have in the Southeast, it's a huge opportunity to do a lot of good. And just even the way, in my view, insecurity was handled in the last year or so, you can tell that there's some regional architecture where all our governors are working together to make that, to achieve that, right? I think this conversation on marginalization, some deserved, in the sense that, yes, we feel like there are things that could have happened but weren't done 70s, 80s, but the grit, because there are two things you need to compare. There are two things happening at the same time. The grit of the Igbo man, being able to bounce back immediately after the war, and was already vice president, was already in businesses, was already senate this and all of that, rebuilt parts of the region with some support even of federal government at the time, because a lot of these roads were also being done at that time. But there's also the decisions taken by political leadership. Let me give you an example. Let me just give you a simple example. There are 6 zones in this country, right? 6 zones, geopolitical zones. In power and government and politics, you cannot make an assumption, right, that the country owes something to you. It is trade by barter. Do your votes come in to set up the government? That's one. If you did, yes, tick. Second one, what is your game when you walk into a room that has representation from all the other regions? People are horse trading. Some people will say, when it comes to this gas, let all of us come together and vote. We'll support you to get it in this region. If you give us this one, when they want to site a new port, you put it in our region. Whilst we say there's been marginalization, which I don't doubt that there probably has been, I'm always from a school of thought where I ask myself, before I point a finger at someone that they did something to me, how much did I prepare? And in this case, preparation means how much did we organize? How much did we organize and come together and say, let's strategize. What do we want? Governor Soludo made reference to a Marshall Plan in Enugu. A Marshall Plan. What he meant by that, in my view, that plan should have come a long time from the leadership of the Southeast, before this generation of leaders. A plan that says, we all discussed, all the political leaders of the region have discussed. We've accepted that, yes, we've been marginalized, but we want to end this call for this agitation and what have you.
Secession.
However, to do so, give us 1, 2, 3, 4. That's what Governor Soludo was referring to. That's a structured conversation. But if there is lack of organization and putting yourselves together, how can someone take you seriously? So it's a two-way street, whilst I do empathize, I've felt it too. I'm a young guy who's Igbo also. And I also do recognize the amazing achievements we've made to rebound after that event. But I think that there's a deeper strategic game that we need to play as it relates to politics, power, and governance, that I am seeing very strong signs that is being played now. It's a cryptic message.
It is actually devoid of emotions. You need to play the game devoid of emotions. Lastly, so that I will let you go, we've already talked into the late of the night. Lastly, I think I saw your interview with the Afia TV 3 weeks ago, before the Senate, the calm before the storm. You captioned that last year festive period was one of the best we've had. We had a lot of influx of people into the region last year, being 2025. What do you think is the reason for that? And then is this something we should consolidate on? Do you think we're on the right track? Is this something that we should grab so that we don't lose it? Because for the past, since 2020, we've been moving all the kind of guy who, so that we don't lose what we've already achieved. Do you think we're already on the right track? And what do you think we're doing right that actually achieve such a festive period? Go ahead.
No, I would say that we pre-2020, the Southeast was growing at a very aggressive rate. At least in Anambra, we were seeing at least 5%, 6% GDP growth, because we used to compute our state GDP. Had the weekend economy of people coming in from different states and different regions, coming back to Oka, to different city centers to enjoy the nightlife. In fact, from Wednesday, you couldn't find a hotel room in Oka.
The Oringo economy.
Exactly. And then all the other things, August meetings, Easter, Christmas, and then
New Year festivals,
Iwaji and all of that. But eventually, insecurity came and completely crippled the economy. Then you juxtapose insecurity, sit at home, the loss of 20% of your economy, and then if you have a trailer and it gets to a head bridge by 10 or 11 o'clock on Sunday, they can't cross, they just sleep and they wait for 24 hours and start going the next day. For a region that connects south to two other regions, one in the to the north, to north central, and all of that, it just essentially, we just lost almost 20% of our economy whilst being depressed by insecurity. So if you look at the true cost, maybe it's possibly 30-40% of that economy, right? So what I believe was just happening in the last year is that stability, insecurity was being addressed, and people started to come in for one or two events and felt safe, and word of mouth, by the amazing work that our governors, 5 of them, were doing as a whole, with support also from federal government, it was clear that we were going to have a successful Christmas. But I didn't even know it would be as successful as that. So the question is, what do you do when you see that? Do you just sit back, wait for it, next one to happen, and then we go? My view is that you put structure around it, right? You put structure around it. This dirty December that is had in Lagos is because there's structure around it. There's a string of events being planned every single day. There are international artists that they bring just to stimulate the economy. There's new bars and restaurants that are set up because that tourism economy, it creates jobs. It brings new people into your state or your region. If they have fun, they come back again. And it's continuous once you get it right. But it requires a number of things to ensure it's in place. You can't just let it be. Or we come back and we're going to go from weddings to this. It has to be well articulated. So us at the SEDC, we have a tourism. We're happy to provide that kind of support. We're thinking through it, structuring it properly, so that from anywhere in the world, people who are coming back feel like there's an agenda. We can go here, this happens in this state, this happened in this one, this happening in this town, this happened there. Just a string of 10, 15 events that put some good structure around it, which people can be informed early on and then they can key in. But I think more long term, right, you now have to start thinking about the structural things. When people come from other parts of the country, from other parts of the world, how can you recreate that feeling? Where are the types of restaurants they want to go? Where are the types of bars they want to be at? Where are the types of, activities, tourism activities that will get them excited? If you look at what Governor Mba is doing, with tourism, zipline, monastery, he's doing quite a lot of interesting things.
He's doing well.
That he wants to articulate to support that, building mega hotels and what have you. You come to Anambra, you see the same thing again, right? Mapping the whole state for looking at the tourism centers. What are the things? What should Obunike Caves look like so that investment can come in there? Solution Fund City, their largest amusement park in the southeast in the country, which received over 7,000 or 8,000 people during Christmas. So the infrastructure needs to come, the right programs need to come, and it needs to be well thought out, not just for the Christmas, but taking a strategic look at, say, the next 5 years. What does the tourism economy look like? What are those missing gaps? That was actually the most exciting session in the Southeast Vision 2050 Forum. Many people, and it was filled with young people, who are just energized. You had Stephanie Okereke, Obi Asika, all of these people, Landmark, everybody came and had their thoughts on what the economy should look like. The tourism sector should look like.
Powerful. I love the whole idea of structure, so that you don't leave it to chance. Maybe next year,
Exactly.
Obuzalo fluke, Obuzalo lock. Thank you very much, Mark Okoye. Mark, on a lighter note, Emana Asana Soludo just say no Anambra Central. And if they do know, I na Central. And they've been looking at this young man. The way Mark Okoye is moving. Interest the kwakode, governorship and everything. Madam Mark, are we looking at somebody that will be having interest to sit at Obi Anambra after Soludo, the lighthouse? Interest, is it there for you, Mark Okoye?
My brother, right now, I have one boss, which is President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He has given me an assignment. I've exhausted 1 year. I have 3 more. I suspect that if I do well, he will renew it for another 4 years. That would then give me 8 years in this job to take all these things we are talking about, like vision, and to see it implemented. I've done 13 years at state level and worked closely to all the 3 governors. Right? By providence, by God, I was given the opportunity to go to federal. It's a very exciting, though challenging, but very exciting terrain. I want to give this my best. Working with my colleagues, executive directors, working with the board of the SEDC, and working closely with the governors in the Southeast, right? And I believe that I'm one person who, every step I have been in my life, I never planned what comes next.
One at a time.
Is it this one that we have? Let's make sure we're working extremely hard to deliver the one at hand. God has a way of figuring out the next move. So that's my view.
Dalorin, one at a time. Anama Yoku SCDC, you push to remember the creative economy. Please. The creative economy is something that we just created this industry by ourselves. You see how well content creators are doing by themselves, doing their thing and everything. People like us, so I will post it to you at BAM in front of camera. People like us, we need encouragement. What we have here is Young Content Factory. If a lot of people will be encouraged to have a content factory in their state, we have one in Ebonyi, one in Enugu, one, if they can even have a podcast, like the way we have, and then come to the media, because ana agba anyị 10-0 na media as ndị Igbo. Ana agba anyị 10-0 if you understand what I mean. This side there piawala anya azụ. But when so like this interview now, I can't have everybody. But if you have one in Ebonyi, one in Enugu, it's easier for people that have one or two things to say. Before you know it, we will domicile in the media, and then we will be heard. Our story will be out there. People like us need support. If we're in on a AC heat, and I know it's 1 horsepower. We need to live. We need to expand.
Of course.
You've seen our human capital if we can do this thing in a flat, imagine when we have a building to ourselves. So please, when you encourage people like us, others will be like, "Can be the one Thank you very much for actually coming. There's what we call take your time in BAM, because BAM is wholesome. Because just like when somebody touched Jesus, say a virtue has gone out of me. Something has gone out of me. So we only end up take your time. We come in we hear na that there's something you said that you want to emphasize on, or you have a shout out, people that you want to say hello to, people that you want to say one or two things to, people that you want to, say one or two things. If you want to drag to, we're not in the area of social media where you can drag to. You can drag people who enter you for that net. So please take your time and do your thing. Go ahead, please.
No, I just touch on two things, my brother, or maybe three. I think the first is I haven't been in an interview in the last maybe 12, 13 years where they asked me to recollect on my childhood, right? So this one was quite touching in the sense of going backwards and looking behind. So it made me truly think through my life experiences. But where I am today and where we are today, I probably want to start by thanking my wife, Philippa Osakwe Okoye. I do all I do, everywhere, putting out fires, solving problems. And she has to do her job, but also look after the home base. I don't take her for granted, and I don't take that for granted. That's one. Number two is that this one is to our brothers and sisters in the Igbo. They need to be calm and be confident that the people who are running the SEDC, from the board to the management team, there's a strong desire and commitment to ensure that our actions translate to impact and transformation that their eyes will see. But Rome was not built in a day. We are doing it structurally. It will come within the day, right? And then lastly is really to thank you, GBAM community or GBAM ecosystem, for what you're doing. I think there's so many hidden gems in the Southeast. So many hidden gems. I would have even never known that something like this exists. I want to commend you and the team, and to say that the SEDC is always there to provide support. However, we have programs that we think you can key into in terms of apply for. But what we've tried to do is to try to, as we launch those programs, we are taking out ourselves political interference from decision making. We create a policy that is fair. You apply. For example, I'm sure when we launch our venture capital fund, it's not for people who have never started business before. It's actually going to end up being for people who have already started something but need that push
to up their game.
Yes. You may be looking at expanding, maybe looking at opening up in other areas. You make a case to it. You make a case. It will be assessed through a merit-based, transparent process. And decision will be taken. And we want to see you grow. We want a future that we can boast of because of our investment in 2, 3, 4 young men and women who have this. There's been another 100 that have been created as a result of that. That is what venture capital does. It breaks those boundaries and tells these are young men and women that if you believe it, if you dream it, it can be possible. So on that note, I want to say a big thank you to you. I'll be back again because I've seen the type of interviews.
Yes,
3-4 hours.
You relax.
You know?
Please give us a shout out on BAM. Tell them to keep watching BAM and keep following us, please. Go ahead, please.
Libai, please stay connected. Keep watching BAM. We've had a wonderful session. We'll be back again. I am now a believer. I enjoy it. And I'm going to be tuning in as often as I can. We love you. Good night.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mark Okoye, the remarkable leader. You're doing well, and then we pray you succeed. What do we gain if you fail? You know, a lot of people, when they're saying, I say, if this person fail, wait till you go gain. Because if you succeed, Southeast would actually succeed, and then some of these things would actually, it will just go off naturally. It will just do it. Listening to you when we met personally and today, actually, it ignited something in me. It showed me that I'm not actually joking, that some of the things that I've passed through, somebody has actually conquered it. So it means you're on the right track. You are better than people who will be saying they never even know the track, but you don't need the right track already. I'm very grateful. It's a privilege to have you here. As a company, we don't take it for granted. And just like you said, we hope to see you, because there are so many talking to do. There are so many explanations. You go explain tire. This is your work. You go explain tire. Okay? And we're here to give you the platform. This is where we'll bring it to the end of BAM. Afam kabo chukujoke egodo ezbonya ba yamba bangwano komesiano kodino bozo udo.
Are you looking for a reputable real estate company to invest with? Do you want to buy land with instant allocation? Are you tired of going to court over land disputes? Come to Pine Leaf Estates and Properties Limited. Land banking is a must.